Why do so many smart people stay broke? Because we were never taught how money really works. We just hustle, spend, and hope we'll get rich one day. But that mindset, it's keeping us broke. These 10 lessons from the psychology of money will flip your thinking and your future forever. Stay tuned because lesson number 10 will help you save more money and don't be broke.
Lesson number one is that no one is crazy. We have different experiences with money. That is how we view our world according to how it works. My experience is not the same experience with you. Do not judge somebody else according to how they made decisions with their own money because you have different experiences. Lesson number two is that luck and risk are siblings. Housel says that nothing is too good and nothing is too bad as looks like. Morgan says that luck and risk are both the reality that every outcome in life is guided by. It's not about individual efforts. It is beyond our control. For example, Bill Gates went to one of the only high schools that had a computer, and that led to the existence of Microsoft. The same way that his friend was also ambitious in the same school that he was, but he was not able to come up with a program because he died in the process. That is the fate that luck and risk usually drive. We should be careful to who we admire or who we look down upon and wish to avoid becoming. Morgan Housel says that the more important thing is to realize that luck can lead to success and also to forgive ourselves when whatever we wanted does not rhyme to whatever we want. Lesson number 3 is about getting enough, and in this we have 3 lessons in this. Number 1 lesson is that the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Morgan Housel says that in our lives, we usually have places that we want to go, or we have goals that we have or we admire to get or to achieve. If expectations rise with results, there is no logic in striving for more, because you'll feel the same after putting even the extra effort. And he says that our need for getting more can be dangerous when we want to get more than we get satisfied when we achieve our goals. Lesson number 2 about getting enough is that social comparison is the problem. He says that comparing ourselves is a game that will never end and nobody can actually achieve it. Secret to win this is actually not fighting for it. He says that the secret is to accept when you have enough, even if it's less than the other person's. Lesson number 3 on getting enough is that enough is not too little. Morgan Housel says that enough is realizing that a huge appetite for more will push you to regret. Lesson number 4 is about saving, and he says that saving is the foundation of wealth. This is the simplest and easiest idea, but it's mostly often overlooked. He says that building wealth has little to do with your income and lots to do with your saving rate. Morgan defines savings, the gap between your ego and your income. And he says that the most powerful ways to increase your saving is not to increase your income, but to increase your humility. You know, most of us usually think that we are going to save more when we get a higher income, but the reality is the more the income, the more the spending. Savings can be created by spending less, and spending less is your desire for less, and you will desire less if you care less about what people think about you. Saving is the foundation of wealth, and when we define it like this, we are going to realize why most people with decent incomes don't save lots of money. Lesson number 5 is that freedom is the flex. Most of us usually think that when we get a lot of money or when we get a high income, that is our goal. But having the freedom is waking up each and every morning and having the ability to do what you want with whoever you want and at whatever place you want. That is the flex that wealth can give you. Morgan says that that is the main dividend that money can actually give you. Lesson number 6 is that money attracts attention to itself and not you. Morgan calls this the man in the car paradox. He says that when a person buys a car, he wants maybe people to admire him or maybe to give respect to him. But the paradox here comes that whenever you buy that car, people use it as a benchmark to want others also to admire themselves. So they admire the car more than they admire the person in the car. The lesson in this is that we don't have to seek validation by buying expensive things, but we should focus more on building a real wealth that is not for validation. That brings us to lesson number 7 that says that wealth is what you don't see. Morgan says that spending money to show people how much you have is the fastest way to have less money. There are two differences between being wealthy and being rich, and let's define both. Being rich means high income and often high spending, but being wealthy means financial freedom. It means you have in control, and it also means that you have peace, and which comes often without showing it. So there are things that rich do differently, or the wealthy people do differently, that makes them to continue being wealthy. Number one is that they live below their means. Number two is that they don't feel the need to show off anything. Number three, they prioritize freedom over validation. And number four, they know true success don't need applause. And that brings us to lesson number 8, that says that history is not used to predict the future. Morgan says that history can be misleading into the future of the economy and the stock market. This is because it doesn't account for structural changes that are relevant to today's world. Lesson number 9 is about room for error. Morgan says that the world isn't kind to anyone and not inconsistency. He explains that you have to plan for your plan not to go according to the plan. This is because you don't know what the future is, and the psychology that says that people are poor forecasters of the future selves. Allowing yourself to have room for error lets you stick around long enough to let the odds of benefiting from a low probability outcome fall in your favor. He says that room for error helps you to remain stable even if whatever you wanted has not become the reality. He says that predicting what you will use your saving for assumes that you live in a world where you can predict whatever is going to happen to you, or whatever expenses that will happen in the future are exactly the same. You need to save even if you don't have a reason for saving. Because, for example, if the job that you are doing ends today, it gives you flexibility of having another option because you already have a saving. He explains that he himself saves a lot and have no idea of what he is going to use the money to. And that idea also applied to me because he gave me the idea that when you save more, you are going to have a flexibility whenever trouble usually comes. And that calls for having an emergency fund for at least 6 months. This gives you a better option, maybe to wait for an option and not just to desperately seek for a job. The last lessons change, and it says that you will change. This says that the future is not always predictable. There is always change that are going to happen, not only to you, but also to the world. There are two things that you should consider when making long-term decisions. And number one is that we should avoid the extreme ends of financial planning. That is what you had said before, that you need a room for error. Number two thing is that we should also come to accept the reality of changing our minds. It's not always that we'll have plans going as the way we had planned. And so we should avoid the extreme ends of financial decisions that involve long term, because you don't want to risk so much that you are going to lose everything, and also to make decisions that you hope that your life is going to be smooth. And we have come to the end of the 10 lessons for this video, but in order to get maximum help from it, make sure that you grab a copy of The Psychology of Money and get to read the whole of it to get maximum knowledge from the psychology of money. And this is one of the books that you should read in your 20s, and this is a list of some of the books that you should read in your 20s. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.